So in 2019, I left Boxever and I took a role which was it was a business unit building role to go and essentially activate their travel and hospitality practice. It was somewhat dormant at the time. They had a relationship with Heathrow Airport that was long-standing, but they wanted to work more with essentially anything with a passenger or a guest. So landed into Capgemini in 2019 and set about building the proposition, building the go-to-market strategy across Capgemini's 7 strategic offers and making it very relevant for the travel industry and all of the kind of sub-domains within travel. So that was airlines, it was airports, it was cruise businesses, it was rail operating companies at a point where, again, that whole industry was converging around a digital first strategy. And again, but all of those legacy requirements for ancillary services, we had things like EU 261 come in, which essentially held the airline industry to account for delays. So there was a whole new environment of operationalizing processes. We were working with IAG Group and British Airways, for example, to design their strategy for connected aircrafts, both in terms of the UI and the UX of that proposition, be it on a seat back in an aircraft or on a connected device such as a mobile phone whilst you're in the air, but also resolving the ROI and the monetization challenge. So actually, still to this day, I think British Airways, unless you're very lucky to be traveling in first class, they still charge you for connectivity in the air. But actually, during the ideation phase, there was enough forward planning to know that a certain time in the future, customers will come to expect connectivity. So in the absence of a $10 or a $15 or £10 or £15 charge, actually, how do we deliver that ROI? And essentially, that was about completing the customer 360 with a much richer behavioral data set of customers when they're in the air, anonymized, just for the record to comply with GDPR. It was also about creating a new two-way communication channel, so async messaging channel while a customer is in the air, and the kind of use cases that are built around things like short shipped bags. So actually, as soon as an aircraft takes off, that there is a system of record that knows that an individual passenger's bag hasn't made it onto the plane. Yet still to this day, we subject customers or passengers to that terrible experience of being the last person at the carousel. You know, it might be midnight in an unfamiliar country. All you want to do is get to your hotel, or all you want to do is start your vacation, yet you're subjected to that diminishing number of people stood at a carousel and a growing anxiety that your bag isn't going to make it. You then subject someone who happens to be in the uniform of the airline to your own frustration around where's my bag, and it's a really cumbersome process. So we were building use cases for that: sales service, service recovery, dynamic advertising content. So how can you curate the right advertising content for the eyeballs that are consuming the content in the air? So worked really hard at Capgemini to build their proposition. Had a degree of success with IAG, for example, on the back of, actually I won't go too much into that because lots of confidentiality provisions still in place there, but built their cyber strategy with their CISO, worked with EasyJet on the back of a data breach there. But then the pandemic hit, and it didn't take a genius to work out that the travel industry was going to be really impacted. And, you know, whilst we couldn't quite predict the magnitude of the impact or how long it would last for, certainly overnight, as we went into lockdown, overnight budgets were cut. And it was so unfortunate. And clearly it was devastating for lots of people, and I don't mean it that way, but having worked so hard in Capgemini to build a really robust platform that we intended to expand the travel and hospitality industry,